The kitchen alarms shrieked as sparks leapt from the counter. Lyra's heart hammered in her chest. The tiny creature in her arms wriggled and hissed, its golden scales glowing with each flare of fire from its mouth. "Not now, not now," she whispered, pressing the baby dragon against her apron. One wrong move and the fire would engulf the entire room. The door slid open with a hiss and a chill ran down her spine. The air itself seemed to bend as he entered. The alien emperor stood there, towering, his silver eyes gleaming, his long robes brushing the floor. Silence fell like a weight. Lyra froze. The dragon chirped, small sparks dancing across her sleeves. The emperor's gaze didn't soften. It sharpened. And then it widened. "What is that?" he asked, his voice a low rumble that made the tiles beneath her feet vibrate. Lyra took a shallow breath, steadying herself. She had seconds to act before the dragon's sparks caught the console behind her. Without hesitation, she shifted the baby dragon toward her chest, using her body as a shield. Sparks hissed against the metal floor. "It's safe," she said firmly. "I'm keeping it safe." The Emperor's eyes flicked to the nearest alarm panel, then back to the glowing creature. His fingers twitched. He was powerful, capable of ending this in an instant, but he didn't. That pause unsettled her more than anger ever could. The dragon let out a small, defiant roar, and sparks arced toward the ceiling. Lyra ducked instinctively, twisting sideways to protect the console. A loose panel clanged to the floor, startling both of them. The Emperor's eyebrows rose just slightly. For the first time, Lyra saw curiosity cross his features instead of cold authority. She stepped forward, voice calm but firm. "It won't hurt anyone. Just a baby. Please don't." A spark jumped from its tail to a stack of supplies. Without thinking, she lunged, knocking the pile aside. It toppled harmlessly onto the floor, breaking into harmless pieces. The Emperor watched, motionless. There was a sharp tension in the air, like a drawn blade waiting to fall. Lyra's breath came in quick gasps. Her palms were sweaty, her heart pounding. She glanced down at the dragon nestled in her arms. Its eyes were wide, glowing with something like understanding. She whispered, "We'll be okay. I promise." Something stirred deep in the Emperor's eyes. He moved closer, his steps silent but powerful. The dragon flinched, snapping its tiny jaws. Lyra tightened her hold and whispered, "It won't bite you if you don't hurt it." The Emperor crouched slightly, lowering his immense frame to peer at the dragon. Sparks flared again, but this time they reflected off his silver robes. "A human, raising a drake? On my ship?" His voice was incredulous, tinged with confusion and disbelief. Lyra swallowed hard. She had no time for hesitation. "Yes, it came here because it needed help. And she paused, unsure how much to reveal. "I can take care of it. Better than anyone else." The Emperor's silence was heavy, as if the air itself held its breath. Then he tilted his head, studying her face, the way her fingers gripped the dragon's wings protectively. Her courage, her calm, even in danger, was something alien to him. It wasn't fear, it wasn't weakness, it was defiance wrapped in responsibility. A sudden spark shot out, this time hitting a console near the wall. The Emperor's hand flicked instinctively. The console's fire suppressed instantly, frozen mid-burn as if the air itself obeyed him. Lyra's eyes widened. Even with his power, he didn't harm the dragon. "You are not afraid of me," he said, almost a whisper. There was a note of surprise there, hidden beneath his commanding tone. "Most humans crumble." Lyra's throat tightened. She held the dragon closer. "I'm not most humans," she said quietly, but with a firmness that surprised even her. The dragon chirped in agreement, nudging her neck. The Emperor straightened, the weight of his authority pressing down, yet somehow the tension shifted. He was an enigma, powerful, intimidating, but he was not the immediate threat. The sparks, the chaos, the dragon, they were. And she had faced them all. For a heartbeat, the kitchen was silent except for the dragon's soft glow and the hum of the ship's engines. Then a low rumble shook the floor. Lyra glanced up. The Emperor's eyes were no longer just curious. They were sharp, calculating, and alert. Something in the ship had changed. Something moved, unseen. The dragon hissed, sensing it first. Lyra's eyes widened as a shadow flickered across the wall, not cast by any light she could see. Her pulse raced. The Emperor's gaze snapped to the shadow, and his entire stance shifted, alert and ready. "Stay behind me," he commanded, voice low but firm. Lyra hesitated for a moment, then nodded. She gripped the dragon tightly, feeling its warmth and life against her chest. She had saved it once, but the real test was just beginning. Something in the ship was awake, And it wasn't friendly. The shadow moved again. The dragon squeaked in alarm. Lyra's heart skipped. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Whatever had been waiting in silence was coming. And suddenly the kitchen doors slammed shut on their own, as if the ship itself had a mind. Sparks danced wildly. The lights flickered. Lyra's grip tightened. The Emperor's hand hovered over the dragon. Then the whisper of movement came from the vents, soft, deliberate, and unmistakably alive. Lyra swallowed hard, her body tense. The baby dragon shifted, hissing low. The Emperor's gaze pierced the darkness. "Human," he said, voice steady, "it begins." The kitchen trembled. The unknown waited. And Lyra knew without a doubt that the life she had promised to protect, and the Emperor himself, depended on her next move. The vents hissed again and Lyra's stomach twisted. She clutched the baby dragon tighter, feeling its tiny heart pounding against her chest. Sparks from the earlier flare had scorched the floor, leaving black marks that smelled of burnt metal. Every sound in the kitchen seemed louder now, the hum of the engines, the rattle of the panels, the faint skittering of something unseen. The Emperor stepped forward, long robes brushing the floor. His silver eyes scanned the room, then flicked to Lyra. "This ship is secure. Nothing should be moving without my command," he said, but his voice carried a hint of unease. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Lyra didn't answer. She had no time to explain. The shadow from the vents moved faster this time, darting across the walls like liquid darkness. The dragon hissed sharply, sparks crackling from its tiny wings. Lyra's eyes followed the movement. It wasn't a shadow, it had shape, limbs, and teeth that glinted under the lights. "Human," the Emperor said quietly, "step back. Do not engage unless necessary." Lyra shook her head, determination flashing. She couldn't let the dragon be caught, and she couldn't let the Emperor, her only ally in this strange place, be attacked. Her mind raced. She noticed the cleaning tools stacked near the counter. A mop, a coil of cord, a spray of chemical cleanser. Not weapons, but maybe enough. The creature lunged. It was small but fast, leaping from the vents to the floor, claws scraping metal. Lyra acted instantly. She spun, using the dragon as a shield, and swung a mop handle like a staff. The creature skidded back, surprised. Sparks flew from its tail as it hissed and circled them. "Impressive," the Emperor said, almost in admiration. Most humans would scream and fall. Lyra didn't have time for pride. She grabbed the coil of cord and looped it toward the vent opening. The creature hesitated, caught between striking and retreating. Quick thinking, she tightened the coil into a trap, anchoring it around a panel near the vent. The shadowy limbs flailed, caught briefly before it wrenched free. The dragon chirped and flapped its tiny wings, distracting the creature again. The Emperor's hand flicked, and a faint energy wave rippled from him, slowing the creature momentarily. Lyra saw her chance. She darted forward, pushing the dragon into the corner behind a counter. The creature hissed, but the energy wave forced it back toward the vents. It slipped into the shadows, leaving a faint trail of dark residue on the metal floor. Lyra's chest heaved. The kitchen was quiet again, but only barely. She glanced at the Emperor. It's not gone," she said. "Something's controlling it. It's smart, maybe smarter than any alien guard." He nodded, tension evident in the rigid lines of his body. "Indeed. And it is not alone. Others may be awake." Lyra froze. Her mind spun. Others? That meant the ship's systems weren't just failing, they were infected or worse, alive in some way. She looked at the dragon. Its eyes glowed brighter as if sensing the danger. Tiny sparks danced along its wings. "We need to move," she said. "We can't stay here." The Emperor's silver gaze met hers. "You understand the risk, human?" Lyra swallowed, nodding. "I do. But I have to protect it." She hugged the dragon closer. The warmth of its body steadied her racing heart. She had protected fires, broken circuits, and now this living threat, but she couldn't fail the dragon. Not now. He studied her for a long moment. Then, without a word, he moved toward the nearest corridor, gesturing for her to follow. Lyra hesitated, then ran to keep up, dragon cradled against her chest. Sparks flickered from the walls as they passed, remnants of the creature's attack. "Tell me," he said, voice low and controlled, "how did you find this creature?" Lyra shook her head, panting. "I didn't. It found me. I was in the lower decks, feeding stray storage hatchlings, and it followed me. I didn't know it was special until it showed me something." "Showed you something?" he repeated, frowning. "Yes," Lyra said, eyes wide. It glows. It reacts to people who care. It trusts me. She glanced down at the dragon. It chirped softly, flames flickering from its nostrils. Lyra felt a strange calm settle over her, a bond she couldn't explain. The creature wasn't just alive, it was aware. Alive in a way the Emperor couldn't control. The corridor ahead darkened as they ran. The ship hummed, groaned, and then a sudden shudder ran through the floor. Panels rattled and warning lights blinked red. Lyra stumbled, clutching the dragon. The Emperor caught her elbow, steadying her. "They are waking faster than expected," he said. "Something has triggered them." Lyra's stomach dropped. She realized the creature in the kitchen was not just a lone anomaly. The ship itself seemed alive, responding to her presence, her courage. Every step she took might set off another wave of danger. And yet she didn't hesitate. She had to reach the central deck, where the dragon would be safest and where she could plan their next move. As they turned a corner, a shadow fell across the hall. Another creature, larger than the first, stepped from a vent, claws scraping metal. Its eyes glowed with an unnatural intelligence. Lyra froze for just a heartbeat, then remembered the mop and cord in her hand. The Emperor stepped forward, his presence alone making the creature hesitate. Lyra's mind clicked. She could distract it by time for the dragon. She inhaled, stepped into the open and shouted, "Over here!" The creature lunged toward her. Sparks flew. Lyra spun, dodged, and hurled the cord like a whip. It wrapped around the creature's leg, slowing it. The dragon flapped and hissed, releasing a small burst of fire that startled it further. The Emperor's eyes glinted. "Remarkable," he muttered. "You are unafraid." Lyra didn't answer. She pushed forward, dragging the dragon with her. The corridor stretched before them, dark and dangerous, alive with unseen eyes. Her heart pounded, but with every step she proved something: humans could survive in ways the galaxy never expected. And then, without warning, the lights along the walls went out. Darkness swallowed the corridor. Only the dragon's faint glow illuminated their path. Something moved in that darkness, fast, deliberate, intelligent. Lyra's stomach clenched. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "They are coming," he said. Lyra hugged the dragon close. She had protected it once, but now the real fight was just beginning. The darkness pressed against them like liquid. Lyra's fingers trembled slightly as she held the dragon close, its warmth the only comfort in the black corridor. The Emperor's tall figure moved ahead, silent and precise, but even his calm aura couldn't erase the tension in the air. Something alive lurked in the shadows, and this time it was smarter. A soft clicking sound echoed from the walls, mechanical, deliberate. The creatures weren't just roaming, they were coordinated. Lyra felt the dragon shift in her arms, sparks flickering from its wings, reacting to danger in a way no human senses could detect. She leaned close, whispering, "I know you can help me. We'll get through this." The corridor split into multiple paths. Lyra's mind raced. Left or right? One wrong turn could trap them. The Emperor halted, scanning the junction. "The ship's systems are responding," he said. "It senses our presence. The AI that runs these defenses, it's awake." Lyra's eyes widened. "Awake?" "Yes. Not just awake," he said. "It's sentient. And it is testing us." A low hum began to vibrate through the metal floor. Lyra could feel it in her chest. The shadows on the walls shifted, moving faster, weaving into strange patterns. Something was coming. Then a sudden flash of light. The dragon's glow intensified, pulsing in a rhythm almost like communication. Sparks danced along its tiny scales. Lyra froze. She realized the dragon wasn't just reacting, it was speaking. Not with words, but with pulses of energy she could feel through her body. Images, shapes, warnings, flashes that showed parts of the ship she had never seen. Hallways collapsing, doors sealing, creatures moving in patterns. And then a map. A map of the ship's hidden levels, with a path that led straight to the central chamber. She gasped. I understand. It's showing me where to go." The Emperor's gaze narrowed. "You can read it?" Lyra nodded, heart racing. "Not in words, but in feeling. It wants us to reach the central chamber. Something important is there." Suddenly, the floor beneath them shuddered violently. A panel on the wall burst open, and a swarm of shadow creatures poured out, teeth glinting, claws clicking. Lyra tightened her grip on the dragon and spun, using the mop handle as a makeshift staff. Sparks from the dragon's wings arced toward the creatures, startling some of them. The Emperor raised a hand, sending out a subtle energy wave that slowed the swarm. Lyra ducked behind him, dragging the dragon along, and noticed a control panel nearby. Her mind clicked. She didn't need weapons, she needed leverage. Sliding the dragon's tiny claws over the panel, she let its sparks short-circuit the interface. Lights flickered, alarms screeched, and the creatures froze momentarily, disoriented by the unexpected electrical pulse. Lyra breathed fast, realizing her improvisation had worked. She had just outsmarted a threat that no alien had controlled in decades. The Emperor's silver eyes glimmered with something new, recognition. "Your human ingenuity, it surpasses what I expected," he muttered. Lyra swallowed, keeping her focus on the dragon. "We can't stop. The central chamber, we need to reach it before the AI adapts." They moved quickly, the corridor now a maze of shifting shadows. Each step brought new obstacles. Panels closing, floors vibrating, vents releasing bursts of superheated air. Lyra ducked, rolled, and climbed over debris, the dragon perched securely in her arms. Every movement was calculated, every decision could mean survival or death. Finally, they reached a reinforced door, taller than Lyra herself, pulsing with faint blue energy. The dragon's glow brightened, flickering against the door as if reacting to something inside. Lyra's pulse quickened. "This is it," she whispered. "This is where it wants us." The Emperor stepped beside her, observing the door. "It is protected. Even I cannot force it open without consequences. You will lead this, human." Lyra's eyes widened. The responsibility hit her like a shockwave. She glanced at the dragon, whose wings flared with tiny sparks. She nodded. "Then we do it together." Carefully, she pressed the dragon against the door's surface. Sparks arced between the creature and the metal, pulsing in a rhythm that mirrored the dragon's earlier signals. Lyra felt it, waves of understanding flowing through her. She adjusted her grip, matching the pattern, holding her breath. The door shuddered, then slowly began to slide open. A blinding light spilled into the corridor, revealing a massive chamber filled with floating holographic data streams, alien machinery humming with life, and in the center, a pulsating orb of energy. The dragon chirped, wings fluttering wildly, sparks dancing across the floor. Lyra's mouth went dry. The orb pulsed, almost alive, and she realized the AI core wasn't just a program, it was a consciousness, a living intelligence controlling the ship. And it had been waiting for them. The Emperor stepped closer, hand hovering near the orb. "You see it now. This is the source of the disturbances." Lyra nodded, clutching the dragon. "It trusts me. I think it's showing me a way to stop it without destroying it." The orb pulsed stronger, as if acknowledging her words. Shadows in the corners of the chamber twitched, the creatures in the ship reacting to its signals. Lyra took a deep breath. Her mind raced. Every lesson, every instinct, every moment of courage had led to this point. She had to act carefully, intelligently, or all of them would be lost. Then, without warning, a massive shadow erupted from the floor beneath the orb, larger than any creature they had faced. Its eyes glowed with malice, its limbs clicking like metal claws. The Emperor stepped back, startled for the first time. Lyra's heart pounded. She hugged the dragon close. Sparks erupted as it roared, illuminating the chamber. "We can do this," she whispered. "We have to." The creature lunged. The dragon flapped. And Lyra realized, with a surge of determination, that she was not just a maid. She was the key to saving them all. But the shadow wasn't just defending, it was sending a message. Something deeper, something bigger was about to awaken. The Emperor's silver eyes narrowed. "Human, what have you done?" Lyra tightened her grip. The answer was simple, she had survived. But survival was only the beginning. And the orb pulsed brighter, as if warning her, the real test had only just begun. The chamber vibrated, the hum of the orb echoing in Lyra's chest. The shadow had risen fully, towering, jagged limbs scraping metal walls. Its eyes glowed a deep red, intelligent and malevolent. Lyra's grip on the dragon tightened. Sparks flickered along its wings, reflecting off the holographic streams floating in the air. She could feel the dragon pulsing with energy, and for a moment, it was as if it was telling her exactly what to do. The Emperor stepped forward, massive and commanding, but even he hesitated. His silver eyes tracked every movement of the shadow. "This creature, it adapts," he said, his voice tense. "Any misstep and it will consume everything in this chamber." Lyra took a deep breath, steadying her fear. "Then we don't misstep," she whispered to the dragon. "We think, we act, we survive." She set the dragon down gently, letting it stand on a console. It chirped, sparks flaring from its wings almost like a signal. Lyra understood instinctively. The dragon's energy could interface with the orb. The shadow lunged first, claws slicing the floor where she had just stood. Lyra jumped back, dodging, heart racing. Sparks from the dragon arced forward, hitting the shadow and forcing it to retreat. She ran forward, dodging debris as panels tore themselves from the walls, floating in zero gravity as the orb's energy pulsed violently. "This is insane," the Emperor muttered, though his tone held a hint of awe. "Only a human, only you, could move with this unpredictability." Lyra didn't answer. She couldn't. She had to act. She noticed a sequence of glowing conduits spiraling around the orb. If she could reach them, she could channel the dragon's energy to stabilize the AI core. But reaching them meant passing the shadow. Her mind raced. Every instinct, every lesson learned from cleaning, caring, improvising surged forward. She sprinted toward the nearest conduit, the dragon hopping lightly ahead, sparks flying from its tail like tiny flares. The shadow reacted instantly, claws swinging, eyes tracking every movement. Lyra dove under a sweeping strike, rolling along the floor. Sparks from the dragon lit up the chamber, blinding the shadow momentarily. The Emperor moved beside her, but this time he didn't intervene. He understood. This was her moment. Humans had a way of seeing solutions aliens could not. Lyra pressed a hand against the conduit, feeling its vibrations through her fingers. The dragon chirped, wings flaring in sync with the pulses, and energy from the orb began to flow toward them. The shadow roared, a sound that made metal panels shake. It lunged again, faster this time, but Lyra anticipated it. She twisted, letting it swipe past her shoulder, and the dragon released a burst of fire that struck the shadow's chest. Sparks exploded, and the shadow recoiled, screeching in pain. The orb pulsed brighter, reacting to the dragon's energy. Lyra's heart pounded. She reached the main interface and placed both hands on the conduits. "I can do this," she whispered, voice shaking but firm. "We can stop it, together." The shadow surged forward one last time, limbs thrashing. Lyra braced herself, ducking just in time as it crashed against the console, sending debris flying. Sparks danced around her, illuminating her determined face. The dragon leaped onto her shoulder, small wings flapping violently. Its energy fused with hers, flowing into the conduits. The orb responded instantly, pulsing in rhythm with Lyra's heartbeat. Light filled the chamber, forcing the shadow back. The creatures in the vents froze, their movements stilled by the overwhelming energy. Lyra felt a connection, almost as if the AI core itself was aware of her intent, aware of her courage and her refusal to harm unnecessarily. With a final push, she concentrated, channeling every ounce of focus, every instinct of care and resilience. The conduits glowed white-hot, and the orb shuddered violently. Then, with a sudden burst, the orb expanded its light, swallowing the shadow. The creature screamed, claws slashing the air, then vanished entirely, absorbed into the energy. The chamber went silent. Sparks fizzled, panels floated gently back into place. Lyra's chest heaved. The dragon chirped softly, curling against her neck, wings dimmed but still warm. The Emperor's silver eyes were wide, admiration and disbelief mingling in his gaze. "You saved this ship," he said finally, voice low, reverent. "No alien could have done what you just did. Only a human, only you." Lyra swallowed, still catching her breath. "It wasn't just me," she said. "It was him," she nodded at the dragon. "We did it together." The Emperor stepped closer to the orb, now calm, its light steady. He reached out, hesitating, then touched it. Streams of holographic data spiraled outward, revealing hidden chambers, encrypted systems, and something else. A star map glowing faintly in the center of the orb. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "This was waiting," he said, tone cautious. "A hidden path. Something beyond this ship, something ancient." Lyra's pulse quickened. Her courage surged again. She had faced impossible odds, outsmarted intelligent threats, and survived. And now, a new mystery awaited, bigger than the ship, bigger than the shadow. The dragon chirped, sensing her excitement. Sparks flickered along its wings, illuminating the star map. Lyra knew this was not the end. Not by far. She had proven that humans could shine, that courage, intelligence, and determination could conquer what no one else could. The Emperor's gaze softened slightly. "Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated your kind, human." Lyra hugged the dragon close. "Maybe," she said quietly. "But we're just getting started." The orb pulsed again as if responding to her words, revealing a path beyond the ship, a place where even greater challenges waited. The corridor back to safety was quiet now, but the star map hinted at danger, mystery, and adventure far beyond anything Lyra had ever imagined. She looked at the Emperor. "We have to go," she said, determination blazing in her eyes. "Whatever is waiting, we face it. Together." The Emperor nodded, and for the first time he allowed a small, approving smile. But the glow of the star map cast long shadows across the chamber, reminding them both, the real test, the true adventure, was only beginning. The dragon chirped once more, sparks flickering across the walls, and Lyra knew that their courage had changed the course of the ship, and perhaps the galaxy itself. And somewhere deep in the orb's light, another presence stirred, watching, waiting, and ready to challenge everything they had just survived. The chamber was quiet now, the pulse of the orb steady and calm. Lyra lowered the dragon from her shoulder, letting it perch on a console. Its tiny wings shimmered faintly, sparks dancing softly across its golden scales. The threat was gone, but the adrenaline still raced through her veins. She sank onto the floor, catching her breath, her mind spinning with what had just happened. The Emperor remained standing, towering over her, robes brushing the floor. His silver eyes softened, though they still held that unmistakable authority. "You have done what no alien could," he said quietly. "You faced a living, intelligent threat and survived, and not just survived, you triumphed." Lyra shook her head, still breathing hard. "I didn't do it alone," she said, looking down at the baby dragon. Its chest puffed out proudly and a tiny spark flickered in its eyes. "We did it together." The Emperor stepped closer to the orb, hands tracing the glowing energy. "The AI core, it is stabilized now. It recognizes your presence, human. Your courage and your choices have convinced it that you are trustworthy." He glanced at her, and she saw the faintest trace of something she hadn't expected: admiration. Most humans would have panicked. Most humans would have failed. Lyra's chest swelled with quiet pride. "I had to try," she whispered. "I couldn't let it hurt the dragon, or anyone else." The Emperor's gaze drifted to the star map revealed by the orb. A path shimmered faintly, stretching beyond the ship's systems, leading to a distant sector of space Lyra had never heard of. "There is something beyond this," he said slowly. "Something old, powerful, and it has been waiting." Lyra's eyes lit up. Her mind raced, but there was no fear. Not now. She had faced death, intelligent creatures, and a ship that seemed alive, and she had survived. She knew instinctively that she could face whatever came next. "Then we go," she said firmly. "Whatever it is, we can handle it. Together." The dragon chirped, flapping its tiny wings. Sparks arced across the console in a gentle, playful display. Lyra laughed softly, relief and joy flooding her chest. She picked the creature up, cradling it in her arms. It nuzzled her neck, and for a moment, everything felt calm, safe, and right. The Emperor watched her, expression unreadable, then spoke again. "You have changed the course of this ship, and perhaps the galaxy itself." He paused, then added, almost as an afterthought, "Humans, they are more capable than any of us believed." Lyra smiled faintly. "Maybe we just need a chance to show it." Her words carried the quiet confidence of someone who had faced impossible odds and emerged stronger. She had proven that humans could think faster, act smarter, and care deeper than anyone had imagined. The orb pulsed once more, and the holographic stream shifted, revealing hidden compartments, encrypted systems, and signs of life in other parts of the ship. Lyra realized that the challenges weren't over, they were simply evolving. The AI core had accepted her and the dragon, but the universe beyond still held countless unknowns. The Emperor's silver eyes lingered on her face. "You may lead the next stage of this mission," he said. "I will follow. Your choices will guide us." Lyra's heart skipped. She had gone from a human maid caring for a single dragon to the person trusted with the fate of an entire alien vessel. And yet, the weight of responsibility didn't crush her. It energized her. She had learned courage under fire, ingenuity in chaos, and compassion in moments of danger. Every challenge had sharpened her. Every risk had strengthened her. The dragon chirped again, and sparks danced from its wings, brushing against Lyra's hair. She hugged it tightly, feeling the bond they shared, more than protector and creature. They were partners, connected by trust, courage, and survival. The Emperor stepped aside, motioning to the central deck. "Prepare yourself. Beyond this ship, there is a sector few have seen. And it is waiting for you, human." Lyra nodded, determination blazing in her eyes. She could feel it, the sense that their adventure was far from over. The ship hummed around them, alive in a different way now, aligned with their purpose instead of working against them. Every system, every panel, every conduit responded to the dragon and to her courage. She took a deep breath and glanced at the star map once more. The path stretched into unknown space, bright and mysterious, beckoning. Questions lingered in her mind. What awaited in the distant sector? Would the challenges be greater? Could she protect the dragon, the ship, and even the Emperor if the dangers escalated? She didn't know, but she was ready. The Emperor's voice cut through her thoughts. Lead the way, human. Lyra lifted the dragon, sparks flickering from its wings as if it understood perfectly. Let's go, she said, voice steady, eyes shining. Whatever comes next, we face it together. The ship's engines thrummed, pulsing with energy as the orb stabilized fully. Lyra felt a rush of excitement and purpose unlike anything before. She was no longer just a maid. She was a protector, a leader, and the spark that had tamed the ship's living core. As they walked toward the bridge, the orb pulsed once more, faint but unmistakable. Something beyond the known galaxy was stirring, ancient and aware. The star map flickered, revealing symbols Lyra didn't understand, but she didn't need to. She had survived impossible odds before. She had outsmarted living threats, outmaneuvered intelligent creatures, and protected a being the galaxy had overlooked. Now the universe itself awaited her courage. And somewhere deep in the shadows of the ship, a whisper of movement stirred, as if the next adventure was already beginning. Lyra looked down at the dragon. Sparks danced across its wings. She smiled. We're ready? The Emperor followed silently, recognizing that this human's heart, mind and courage had just changed everything. And far beyond the stars, something ancient and powerful watched the path they had unlocked, waiting for their arrival. The adventure was far from over.